My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And today, we are talking about a new Netflix show that just started last week, 2 weeks ago, as of when this will come out, which is called Sisyphus the Myth. This title was designed to make me not be able to say it.
There's been a lot of syphilis on the
Yes.
Twitter timeline. People it's autocorrecting into syphilis and stuff. Like they're like no.
No, I don't believe syphilis is a myth. However, that's not what I'm watching. That's a different sort of show. So Sisyphus the Myth is the show that we're talking about. Is a science fiction show starring Park Shin-hye and that dude from The Secret Forest.
That dude.
Jo Sung-woo.
Yeah, Joe, thank you. That I had it right in front of me in my mind. I just couldn't focus on it. As a I can't even describe what it's a very wild tale. She plays a sort of super soldier, but not really. She's just, a survivor from an apocalyptic future who gets quantum transported to our present to find this scientist dude.
Yeah, I will say that, all the descriptions say she's a soldier, so I don't know if that's something we just don't know about yet, but...
Yeah.
Or if it's something that, somebody, writing the My Drama List thing saw the trailer and was like, oh, she's a super soldier. But
she has a gun. Therefore, she's a super soldier.
She has a gun and she beats people up. So technically, if that's your metric for soldier, sure.
But, her gun is painted with pink flames and bedazzled, so,
Okay, I love it.
I love her gun.
I love it, too, but I'm, in the context of the show, why? I haven't figured out that yet, so I don't know, I'm in this, weird area where I'm I love it, but also, is it actually sexist that they're doing that? Because there's no reason for it to be pink.
But on the other hand, I'm gonna be honest, knowing me as a person, if I was in an apocalyptic future and had a big old gun, I would probably do the same thing.
I wouldn't, because I would keep my guns at a black or a camo so it could always be hiding it. Or when I'm hiding it is not, it's hidden as well. I know, but that's why I'm saying that it's a little hard for me to understand the why.
Even her character is
They sort of, they had her listening to BTS and liking plushies and stuff. So I kind of wonder if it's something that's kind of the idea of she's been in this since she was 12. It's
that's what I'm hoping, but practicality, she's a glaring hello, look at me when I'm hiding behind furniture with a pink gun. It's just maybe that's not the route we want to take for her.
Okay, so I have to call back to a previous discussion that we've had in the past, and I have to bring up the show Memories of the Alhambra, because remember when we watched that and we were all so sad that they just didn't give her anything to do? I feel like the show is trying to make up for it.
They're we heard you.
Stuff to do. I appreciate that.
But not really plot, just giving her things to do.
Just stuff to do.
I do want to preface, we might do spoilers, because we are going to be talking about the first 4 episodes of this show. It's a slow reveal, so there really aren't any ginormous secrets, honestly, that but there will be things that they finally said out loud in episode 4 that they don't say until episode 4.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to go at the 4 episode route, because just after 2, it really wasn't giving anything, really setting up anything. You're still confused by it. You didn't know what to do, and we didn't want to just comment on 2 episodes about
it is very much what is going on. Every episode feels like somebody on the timeline said every episode feels like a different almost genre of sci-fi movie. this episode you feel like you're watching, okay, it's 12 monkeys, right? And then somebody said, yeah, like I'm wondering if like mutants are going to show up, because like we've had so many of the sci-fi tropes. It's like it's 12 monkeys and it's Terminator and it's, you know, it's got
it
all
also
those
kind of reminds
things,
me,
but it's its own story, you know.
If anyone remembers this show from I don't know how many years ago called Revolution, it kind of reminds me
I
of
love
that
Revolution.
As well. I love that show. I love that show. I was so sad when it got canceled. All the stuff that takes place in the future really reminds me of that show too.
It has a bit of a Umbrella Academy kind of a vibe too, with the whole like the bureau that's trying to do whatever it is they're trying to do.
So, like I said, it's a pretty slow reveal of the show, and I was not expecting that.
I wasn't either.
And I gotta say, pace-wise, as far as sci-fi intense shows or that have intense moments, I think the pace should kind of match with that. That's my opinion. In order to keep interest, or not that you have to do this whole like, you know, 5 screens worth of Star Wars text scrolling to explain it. You don't have to do it that way. Yes, you can show us. We've said that with Space Sweepers and all types of things. You can show us shorthand stuff pretty quick, but they do hold back a lot of information, like we've said, within these first 4 episodes. And it's not just, oh, this is the main arcing question or the 3 mysteries we're trying to solve or whatever. It's like all the basic world building things. You have no idea what's up.
Yeah, you don't even have anything to like actually come up with a mystery for this show, because there's just like nothing there.
I sort of wonder, like, every time I see something like this, I sort of start to think about the writer's motivations behind certain choices, and I wonder if, like, we as the audience are supposed to be as confused as the main guy is about everything happening, because he doesn't know shit about shit, and, like, he just keeps getting, like, pulled into gunfights, and people keep kidnapping him and breaking into his house, and he's like, listen, man, I don't know what's going on.
I'd be more okay with those choices if, like, there are shows that are more similar to that, where your perspective is obviously whittled down to something like, you know, you can only see this one side of the story, and it's obvious that you can only see the one side of the story. So narratively, you know you're limited. You know you have no clue what's going on. Yeah. But since they will show us the other side, but
that's
not
the problem.
Not enough, they'll almost show you just the one tiny bit of information you kind of want to cling to in order to make a little bit more of the world in your brain. But then they always like sidestep it and move on. And it's usually not worth the sidestep. Like the payoff for keeping it from us until episode 4, or maybe then later on, usually isn't worth it, because again, it's not the big mysteries. It's not the big things. Like, if they didn't want to tell us what the Bureau does for 6 episodes, that's fine, but you have to give us other things in between in order to care that we don't know what the Bureau's doing. Like, you have to let me care about the characters. Like, that's often my main thing when I'm watching a show. Like, I have to know what they're wanting to do, and in order to get invested in them.
You know which character I care the most about? The dude's bodyguard. I want to know what went down with him. Is he gonna be okay?
No, that's our only mystery. That's literally like one of the only mysteries they gave us in this entire thing. And I think the problem is that at this point, I actually don't believe that like the writing is like supposed to be this confusing. I think it's just poor choices, because the tone is so drastically just off the wall, but not even in like you can understand they had a reason for it, and it just doesn't work for most of the audience. This is just completely a mess. And I mean, like,
it feels like they're trying to like check off things on a list.
Well, I mean, it's to the point that like the tone will shift 4 times in a flashback, and they never actually have anything that really signifies flashbacks, except for like maybe people's age, but everybody looks the same age in their flashbacks, or like you can only know because he's obviously not rich in that flashback. they'll like change it like so many times, and then you'll like be back into the present, and it takes you 5 minutes to realize you're back in the present because like the tone didn't shift correctly and it doesn't work, and it's just like all around a mess, and you're like, but how am I supposed to like figure this out? Because it's not there's nothing in this that's like would be like a standard thing that like you at least have something for it. Like an example would be like if this was like a show about vampires, you at least have some like knowledge of the world that like is kind of standard for vampires throughout other media. And then if the like show didn't give you stuff, you'd still have that. But we don't have that for this. So there's no way to actually manage through this muddle because it just like completely changes and the tone keeps on changing. So then you're like, I'm still trying to figure out where we are. Like, what's going on?
Like, I think an easy comparison for me, and of course tonally it is different. And I've only watched the first half of the first episode of Alice in Borderland. Okay. But Alice in Borderland, they do a time jump and there's a bit of like, what the heck happened? But you still contextually can like piece it together pretty quick and move on with what's going on. And you don't feel, I mean, you're kind of puzzled, but you don't feel discombobulated. Like, what's up? You can piece it together pretty fast and you can then move on with what the story is telling you very quickly. I never have felt like that with this show. Like, I'm grasping the entire time.
I can't even tell you what the business he has. What is the business he has?
Yeah, I don't know. It's some kind of physics company,
but they didn't present it as a physics company beforehand. Too
like it has like quantum and something physics.
They sell
in the title
goods where they have
right?
like a customer service line for like people everyday people to like
I assume it's some kind of tech thing because he's good with tech, but he's also really good with science and he's really good. Like he's a MacGyver of all trades.
He's Tony Stark. Okay, he's Tony Stark.
Yeah, but there you go.
But they don't give us anything like. Even all those board meetings, fine, put the one product schematic on the board and we're like, cool, then we would know what we're selling. Give us, like, everything was like, they could have fixed a lot of things very easily, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I'm somewhat enjoying it because I like this genre, but
same.
The tone is getting to me, and I wanted to talk about specifically why that was, because the first example for me, and Jesse and I had talked about this, I was way into when the lead female character, let's say time jumped for lack of a better term, because at that point you have no idea, again, no clue what's going on.
Hopping, we don't know.
We don't know. Actually, at the end of episode 4, do we still know? We have some terms for it that we still don't know what they really mean, but okay.
We vaguely know. We might know, but we might not.
But we might. So, anyway, she shows up, she's scared, you know that she has instructions to run as soon as possible, and then she has people after her pretty quick. And they have glowy gas masks on in the dark. And that's so like, great. Yes, this is so cool.
Into it. I was like, yes, setting up greatness.
But, like, visually, chef's kiss. Very cool.
Well, right. So, and even a big part of that chase scene, I was like, okay, I'm down with this. Like,
the
it seemed
was good in it. I thought the pacing in that,
pacing, everything was logical. Like, I was down for it. Felt very good for a chase scene of anything else. Then as far as at the end of the chase scene, she crawls up on top of a stationary train car, sits on top of her important luggage piece, and just chills out, and literally, like, 30 creepy dudes with guns just never look up, and she's safe like that.
They're literally below her. They're probably not even 2 feet
and she's
from
not
the
even,
top
like,
of their head.
She's not even, like, lying flat to be, like...
No, she's just sitting enjoying the stars, and you're like...
And she's like,
no, what's going on here?
And they even have, like a remote thing that is, like, detecting what? Radiation or whatever, I don't know. It's detecting something. I mean, they don't even have to, like, look up that much. Like, it's literally so, like, someone could almost reach up and grab her. And it was like, there's 30 people who can't.
Not one of them has stepped back 5 feet and been like, oh, hey,
the detection device is not, like
you don't even have to be a trained shooty person to know like how to look for somebody. I mean, it's to the point where, okay, since I like sci-fi shows of various quality, I can look past, like, for instance, a scene like that. I will forgive it if you give me logical stuff after that. Whatever. I will let it go. Like, a moment of bad writing, that's fine. I don't hold stuff against writers really that much. But the reason I bring this very specific, easy example up is because that type of a flaw in a logical situation, that is what comes up consistently throughout the whole show. And it brings me out of the experience of the show every single time it happens.
Yeah, it's a really strong problem. I mean, like, almost immediately, because we jump into a weird tone with the plane crash, because it's like a comedy, it's a farce. He's supposed to be a MacGyver guy, but he actually really sucks at it. And you never actually get that he's smart throughout the entirety of the 4 episodes. You don't know that he's smart.
Absolutely got that he was smart. I didn't have
because
that at all. For me,
like,
I absolutely got it. He's a genius, and I get it. And
he stops doing things.
I didn't struggle with that at all.
The phone call. Wait, there's a phone call? Let me... Can you say something about it? I'm trying to do this thing over here. And then
2
finally
minutes to
he
dine.
takes the phone call, and I'm like, okay, so is this show supposed to be like a really, like, not, just a comedy?
It's supposed to be campy. Like,
yeah,
it's supposed to be campy
because if it's supposed to be campy through the entire thing, sure, fine, I can get by it. But it's not, because it's not campy during the entire thing.
Yeah.
And so then it just was like, but okay, what are we doing with this right now? Because I can't figure out what's going on. And at this point, I don't know anything, but I'm also just trying to figure out what genre this, like, show is. Because besides the sci-fi tag, what do you give me? You're not really giving me thrilling. You almost got me thrilling, but you dialed it way back within, like, 2 minutes of the fight scene, and I'm like, what
I enjoy it when it's in its action thing, when she's kicking butt, when they're having car chases, I'm like, oh, this is fun, I'm enjoying this. But, like, then it turns into, like, corporate crap, and I'm like, I don't care.
Listen, could it be a K-drama without some sort of corporate intrigue? Like, no, my husband always jokes about this when I'm watching something. It'll be like, it could be about anything, and he'll be like, when are we getting to the boardroom? Like, we gotta know. Like, when, which CEO.
In this show, the CEO power grab happened really quick. Like,
real quick.
We were in that boardroom immediately. Like, that was fast.
What I sort of love about it is that, like, in the grand scheme, they're spending all this time on this corporate, like, trying to oust him from his own company. But in, like, the grand scheme of this story that's being set up about, like, there's a war coming, and, you were part of it, and you invented this technology that led to all these people who can go either from another dimension or back in time or whatever, it's quantum something or other, teleportation. Does it really fucking matter if someone takes
I'm wondering if the point is that it does matter, that, like, the company is actually what causes all of this based on his, like, listen, whatever, but it wasn't actually him, or something like that. So that's why the power grab matters. But, I mean,
technically it is his, because she tells that her mission is to get him to not develop the thing that actually is the start of everything.
Yeah, but in the future, that may be the story that they have. That doesn't necessarily mean that's actually what happened.
But that's the reason why she's there. So she's there to stop it before it happens. So the only reason it won't happen is if she can do the things that she needs to get it. Because obviously, like, the dimension time jump stuff, the laws aren't, like, normal things, because if you mess up stuff, it doesn't trickle through everything. It kind of only messes up that one thing, and, like, other things are fine, because she proved it when she, like, she could list off the lotto numbers, she could find some other stuff, and then if, like, one thing changes, it didn't, like, her main objective still was a threat. Killing off the assassin, and doing all this stuff was still the threat of what she's supposed to be there. It never fixed it, so there's never, like, any trickle of...
What I kind of don't get there, too, is that her mission is to come back and make sure he doesn't invent the thing. But she's also trying to make sure he doesn't die, which if he died, he wouldn't invent the thing. So, like, it feels like, at least one of the groups of people she's working against is also maybe working for the same goal, but with a different, their plan for the goal is
I would
different.
just assume
It's
she doesn't want him to
confusing,
die
like-
because he's her husband.
Well, yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but she's supposedly,
But there's
like,
also-
it's so confusing.
But there's also this like weird thing where everyone keeps saying like, well, no matter what you do, you can't change the future. It's like, then why is she here?
Yeah.
If no matter what she does, she can't change the
See?
future. What's the point?
Yeah, I don't.
So some sci-fi shows are kind of crummy like that, but if they give you one logical bead that you can follow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can kind of latch onto it and be like, okay, I'm gonna pretend like I follow, and then a few episodes in, you're like, okay, I'm down for it.
Mhm.
So there's really not a logical bead with it, though. I mean, like you just
Mhm.
explained, she's there to make sure he doesn't die
Mhm.
and to prevent him from like making the thing that causes a war.
Mm-hmm.
But
then
she supposedly can't
maybe-
change anything.
Yeah. And then maybe get married to him at some
Maybe.
point where she'll die at their wedding. I remember that. Remembering this correctly?
Yeah.
That
Well,
I-
or be shot at.
Yes,
She'll be shot at.
She'll
the
be
wedding.
shot at the wedding. Cute wedding dress, though. Gotta point that out. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's me. But then you know everyone's trying to kill her, like the Control Bureau. But then she keeps being like, "Bitch, ain't dying today, motherfucker!" And then just like something will happen where yes, she manages not to die this day. What? Like. You know what I think is the worst part about this? Is like, as I'm talking about it, like, while I'm watching the show, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, okay,
Mhm.
sure. And then when I go to, like, to explain anything that's happening in the show, which, as of this moment, I've actually kind of enjoyed, because
Yeah.
it's like, when it's fun. When it's confusing, you just wait for
I
it to
do
be
something
fun
else.
again.
Like,
So, like, I've been enjoying it, but then as soon as I sit down and someone's like, oh, what's it about? I'm like, like,
I know. I was literally like, I mean, that's what I was tweeting about the other day, right? I was like, okay, so episode 1, you're like, oh, okay. It's like, it's 12 Monkeys. Okay. And then you're episode 2, you're like, oh, maybe it's Umbrella Academy. And then like episode 3, when he pulls out his little transporting machine, I'm like, is it The Prestige? Am I watching like what? And then like episode 4, no, I think it was episode 3. You literally get the "come with me if you want to live" moment,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you
like,
get
oh, it's Terminator. Like, and I'm just like, okay, I'm watching all of. I mean, I like all of those things, so I guess, but like, all in one feels a little
bit much. A little bit
It's
much.
A little,
And if you
it's a little lot.
listen, you can do all of those in one thing, but
Yeah.
make it make sense, you know? Like,
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
not doing it correctly all in
No,
this.
no.
So
I mean,
that's-
no. It's like they have the vibe of those things,
I will
but not
say-
the successful bits of those things that made them good.
For the first 2 episodes, if you had cut out his side of the story and just left her side of the story, I was more invested.
Much
side of the story.
absolutely.
Because, like,
Absolutely. She
there
was
was,
the
like-
one bringing the story that was even like, even if you didn't
Yeah.
know what was going on, it was interesting. You weren't like trying to figure out what's going on. I think she has the actual grasp of her character, like too.
Mhm.
Like he kind of doesn't. So
Mhm.
like it's like off that way, and I'm just like, you know what? I just want to be over here, even if it's like her sitting on the like train. 2 feet above all the people. At least we got something going on, and it's a little
Yeah.
bit interesting.
Well, and when we got that long chunk of her in the future, like going through the deserted, I loved
Yes.
that. I'm like,
Yeah, that
we
was
have more of this. I want more of the future. Cause
Yeah, that was the real
That's
revolution vibes. Like, as soon as it was like
interesting.
all the overgrown, I was like, oh, okay.
Side note, who on this podcast watched what's it called? It's the robot show. I keep on
which,
Are You Human
which
Too?
robot?
The
Yeah.
facade of that building, isn't that where they actually spend most of their time? And that's the only thing I saw.
Maybe.
Are You Human Too was a sci-fi movie that knew what it was doing.
Okay.
Being a
It knew what it was
sci-fi
doing. However,
movie.
It
mean,
also
as
did some
someone-
tone issues.
as someone
time.
who really, really enjoyed that show, like,
Mhm.
a lot, the corporate scenes in that
I
show.
know.
Just get rid of every single one
Listen,
of them.
Listen,
I
I'm
really
telling
wanted
you.
the like rich
I'm
kid
telling you.
corporate shit. Like they always love that stuff, you know, the
Yeah.
table stuff, and they're like,
Every
we just
time,
still gotta
like,
do it.
They're like, listen, if we don't have, if we don't have a corporate, like some sort of corporation, how will we show the youth of Korea what they should aspire to? Right? Like a dead-end horrible job in a corporation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you might be a genius who's inventing incredible things, but if you don't have an IPO, what's the fucking point, you know?
So, Are You Human too? Like, it's an example of you know what's going on pretty much all the time, and then there's a good twist at the end. And it's a sci-fi show. And
That's
it's
what I
fun.
feel-
So, like, there wasn't any huge mysteries, but then they kind of did, like, a sidestep at the end, which was nice.
Yeah.
And
For
so,
this one,
other shows, I'm down for a lot of mystery, too. Like, I really can... I hop on rides pretty quick. It's fine. For me, my main gripe is I've never seen a show like this one. I will say that. Anywhere. Like, English-speaking show, any sci-fi show, and I've watched a fair bit of crummy ones. I've even seen a lot of really crummy sci-fi shows before, and I've never seen this type of tone mix. Because I'll be kind of down for it. Like, oh, he's getting chased, and now he's in the shack place, and he needs to probably, of course, he has to MacGyver something, because that's evidently what they make him do, like, every other scene for whatever reason. But when they're doing that, the bureau people are, like, 3 steps away from his front door.
It does take more
and
than
crouching
30
in
seconds to make a bomb.
He gets a hacksaw and starts slowly cutting away in order to elaborately make this bomb. And it obviously would have taken him a good 15 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
And yet he successfully accomplishes it.
I will say that
eventually.
The little mini bombs that he makes in episode 4, that actually made the sense in terms of the time and the things that were
it absolutely made sense. I was like, I love these. How is his aim that good?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
He's just he's just built different, you know.
They make him so scientifically and mathematically inclined that, like, supposedly he can do all these calculations, which, like, if that was the selling point for his character, it's fine. Like, it's fine. And again, the aim thing, I thought, I mean, it was obvious, like, his aim's way too good, but they're gonna say it's because he calculated it. Like, that's gonna be their argument for that one.
Yeah.
But everything, when he doesn't have super speed. Like, if he did, that would explain away all these things. Same thing with the Bureau guys, who... they're like stormtroopers, but like 50 times worse because they cannot hit anything with their guns. Like, they never take shots.
They can't find
It's
people
always...
right in front of them.
Listen,
They don't go all the way into a building. There's just like, let's just go the first 2 feet.
And also, like, listen, you say they can't hit anyone, but they sure can hit just like a sleeping lady. And that's about it. So, but you know what? I actually get why that scene exists, because they've got to radicalize the somehow. Okay, that actually, like, okay, there's a. What's interesting is that the payoff to that particular setup happens before the setup, which I find is actually a very curious way of doing it, where he comes back and he's like, "Yeah, I can't live with myself and what I've done." And you're like, "You haven't done anything." And he's like, "Oh, but I will do."
Yeah. And you have to not kill me before I do it, because then I won't be here now to save your life. So, like, you're just going to have to let me be horrible to you for the next, however many episodes.
The old time paradoxes.
Right. Great.
A classic caper.
I'm going to be real, real bad, and you're going to hate me, but don't kill me so that I can come now and give you my car, okay?
I don't even understand the broker. Not the fact that the broker exists. That's fine. Like, so they kind of explained that just fine. I was like, I accept most of this information. Like, I'm totally cool with it. But then there's parts of when the guy was explaining things that I'm like, are they trying to tell us something special about this? Like the fact that his two little minion guys are kind of dumb. It wasn't a typical, hey, my minions are dumb. I kept on being like, are they trying to say that sometimes
you come back
some of these
wrong?
Yeah.
Maybe don't fully. And the reason I kept thinking that is because, again, the stormtrooper like agents of the Bureau, I keep on wondering if like they have limitations to where like maybe they can't look up. Like I keep wondering if it's like a world rule.
Well, it's like I was actually wondering.
Neck works.
Okay, so this sort of reminded me of the Michael, not the movie, okay? I need to point out that I'm not talking about the movie version of this, but the novel only of the Michael Crichton novel Timeline, whereupon people who get sent back, sometimes it fucks up their DNA, and they, like, are a little bit wrong when they, you know, get sent back or come back from the past or whatever. And I'm wondering, like, so the guy who gets sent as to assassinate the main dude looks all fucked up, right?
Yeah.
And he's got, like, weird-ass skin and, like, fucking weird ears and everything. And I'm just wondering if, like, that was supposed to be, like, sometimes people come back wrong. And it's not like both of the guys that work for the broker are stupid. Only one of them is, like, very dumb.
I
And the other one's just
thought
dumb.
it was like a reference to whatever is happening, the radiation or whatever that's happening, that like is directly revolved into how they keep on like, you know, using their little things, and that was just a result of exposure, kind of like the scene where it's like her and her dad, and he's like, don't take your mask off, and she has to put on the gas mask. I just assumed that like whatever is happening is like a kind of chemical thing, and that's the reason why it was like varying, because it's like you
So it
had
depends on
more
your exposure?
because that's got to be like a huge thing, like because they wouldn't keep on like using it everywhere that she is and everywhere that they can find her, because it obviously doesn't work anyways, because like it can't like detect a foot above you, it doesn't go off. I don't
Listen, it's only a direct line of sight.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, they keep practically patting people on the chest with it, so like it must need
you
like
have to,
almost
like, direct contact. It has like a safety on it, so it has to be depressed.
Yeah.
It works.
As sensors always do. Like,
You know,
hey,
Listen, it's only got a half-foot radius. Like, that's as far as it can detect.
They just don't have the budget for it. I get it. There's a lot of them. You know, they probably
Listen,
go
it's
through a lot. They drop them and
Hey,
then break. Okay.
this is
bureaucracy.
set in August of 2020. There's a lot going on in the world.
That's
and
true,
like, you know, they just
You know,
Yeah.
budgets are tight. I get it.
I mean, there's a lot going on in the world, but they're not discussing any of that. Like, it's weird how they keep pointing out that it's August 2020, but like, there's no pandemic, and you're like, hey, yeah, put your mask on. Like,
Wouldn't it be really funny if they tried to like make this story? Because it's like obvious they've had it out for like done for a while, because there had been like talk about it in shoots and stuff. And if they had just like were like, yep, we're gonna just add in the whole pandemic into the storyline too, and they all had to have masks on.
they just like CGI like masks onto everybody's face afterwards. Like,
But like it was filmed during the pandemic. Like, it was filmed between May and December of last year. So it's not like they didn't know that these things existed at the time.
But I think the story had already been developed at that point, is which I'm saying. Like, if they were to
I feel like they
inject it
should
into
have
the
just
story.
like just focused on it like being August or something. You know what I mean? Like, not tried to set the year because of that. Like, it does really take me out every time they like, you know, on August 20th, on August 27th. And they're like, and I'm like, it's a quick Google search for me to find out whether like Korea was in lockdown on the 27th and whether people would actually be having big mansion parties that day. So like, you know, like, it's one of those little
things.
details that,
it's literally their only device of setting up like what period it is, and for you to understand that it's present day, as opposed to not like only a couple of years in the future. And so it just messes up everything, because you're constantly like aware of those things now.
This is a show that could have really benefited from some filters. You know, we've seen it in other dramas where it's like, okay, and now like when they're in the game or when they're in the future or when they use this kind of filter or that kind of filter. So you know immediately, okay, we're in the future now because it's got this filter. We're in the past now because it's got this filter. Like that would be
color time it.
An easy way to like color code the time periods for us.
Yeah.
Like,
so I have a question. When he first got taken to the bureau, and he was in that little cell place, and one of the guys, and you know, he was mad and just wanted information. Of course, they didn't give him any, and he asked like, "Where are you from?" Wasn't that his question? Like, "Where are you from?" And that one assistant guy was like, "Oh, it's not where that's important," and then he just trails off. Did you guys immediately think like, it's when? Like, did you all know like, it's when?
100%. 100%. Yes. I also, my other thing is, why did they let him go?
Yeah, that wasn't real clear. I don't
like. I get like
nothing makes sense.
They were like, we can ruin your thing. It's like, well, yeah, sure. You could also then just like fake his death, right? Like you could set up a fake car crash and that seems a lot easier than starting some sort of elaborate media campaign.
No. I accepted them letting him go way easier than I accepted a lot of the other stuff, like the hacksaw explosion situation. Or like,
the hacksaw explosion was a bit much.
Or the 20-minute long airplane.
My God.
Whatever that was.
It drove me insane. I was like, you should already be dead. You should already be dead. What's going on? Can you actually do what you're supposed to do? Because it kind of feels like you're supposed to be a person who thinks they're smart, but isn't, and is trying desperately to think about their one, like, college class where they, like, learn this thing and, like, try to figure it out, but they can't do it. And I was like, no.
Well, the phone call part of the airplane thing, that's what got me, because I really thought, I was like, okay, I'm fine with them showing the fact that he's getting a phone call. And then I'm like, okay, they're going to ignore it, right? That would have been the logical thing for any other story to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then they chose to make the co-pilot guy answer the phone. I'm like, okay, I can forgive that.
And it was
maybe.
all
He's kind of out of his mind.
It was all to set up for them to, like, his person that's in the meeting to set up to turn on the TV of the, like, plane going so they could see it in front of all the, like, investors. That was the entire point of that entire thing. And to give you that, like, small little thing that there's something in his safety deposit box that needs to be, like, destroyed. Shredded or whatever. Yeah. But, like, that could have been in any other context, in any other way. Yeah. Like, it was, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like, just a setup for this. Yeah. Unnecessary.
Like, I did like in the phone call when he's like leaving his like last will and testament, and he's like, and then my like 50% of my whatever stocks go to this, and the other half get divided amongst the company, except for the board members. And I was just like, that was nice. I like that.
I must say, occasionally the show does do things well. Like, I really like how they show the relationship between him and his bodyguard. Like, there was, just like little moments here and there that were just very sweet. Yep. And
those are all logical. It all works.
Yeah, and it does do like as we said, like the car chases and the gunfights. They're fun. They're fun, and it's well filmed. It's just nonsense.
It's a little messy.
But while you're watching it, it's kind of fun anyway. Like you're like, this makes no fucking sense. All right, next episode.
And I think that's where it benefits from the action scenes, because as long as the action scenes are going on, you're like, oh, okay, we're running, we're chasing, we're fighting. Like, you're not really thinking about the nonsense, but as soon as it slows down, you're like, you have time to think about how ridiculous some of the things are that you're looking at, and you're like, wait.
And that's also where the problem is that you actually have a lot of time that's a thing. So, like, you're like, okay, action. Oh, 15 minutes of wondering what I'm doing and what I'm watching. and really why I'm watching this. Like, I'm intrigued, but, like, not, and I think I actually, like, despise you and hate you all at the same time, and I don't know what to do.
I found, like, the first episode and a half, I was really stressed out, but I think that's because it was a lot more of the slow stuff, like the bureau and the workplace and all that kind of stuff going on. As soon as there was action, I was less stressed out about it, because, like, okay, they're shooting at you, like that's the kind of, you know, stress or whatever that I can handle. And then I don't know, like, it was weird. By the end, like 3 and 4, I didn't find nearly as stressful, and maybe that's because more was going on, like there was more car chases and stuff. Like, I don't know.
It definitely had more stuff.
I enjoyed 3 and 4 way more than I enjoyed 1 and 2. I can easily say that.
I mean, there were points in 1 and 2 that I really, really liked, and I had kind of hoped it would transfer over, but it's looking kind of like it's not going to transfer over. Like, I really do think, like, the setup of what was happening when she was, like, first being attacked by the flashy eyes mob was really cool, and I wish that had kept up that tone and that kind of mysterious vibe to it, but they didn't. And then I really loved the co-pilot stuff where, like, you like got to the point where, like, you were there at the house and they were talking amongst, you know, the driver or his bodyguard, and that whole thing, I thought that was a really good, like, storyline that was happening, and like you knew that he was gonna die because it was obvious he was gonna die. It's standard practice for any person that thing to die if you see a person almost start their car and then, like, a phone call happens, they're gonna die in a bombing.
Dripping,
you know,
they made a point of showing you, like, strange, mysterious feet and stuff really dripping underneath the car.
That mystery, like, it had kind of, like, almost like something from the X-Files, where it's like just like a mysterious guy comes up and he gives you these things and you're like, I don't understand what's going on, but I do understand it's part of a greater thing.
Yeah.
But then it kind of stopped again, and then, like, it was, like, fine with the action stuff, but it definitely didn't keep up that action. And then I thought the people coming was going to be even cooler, because them, like, appearing and kind of being almost mutants, like, really got cool. And then that was, like, a non-thing for that. And I was like, oh, that's just the artistic choice of the costume makeup department for that. And it's not going to be something for this show. And then I was kind of like, okay, again. And then, oh yeah, let's talk about how you're supposed to jump into this river for 14 minutes. Not really 14 minutes. Felt like 14 minutes, and, like, stumble his way into figuring, like, just telling how. I don't actually believe you, because I don't think you believe yourself in that. That's an actual equation and stuff, and you're just a guy spouting numbers. That's
like, I'm not really sure that your weight changes the way you need to make a high jump into the water. Like, not to that significant. You still need to jump in a certain way.
It's pretty standard. You gotta go feet first with your hands over your head. That's pretty much the
well, and
the
I'm also, like, willing to accept, like, I do think he's not grasping his character, him as an actor. I mean, like, I've only seen him in Stranger, but that, like, is not a comparison. He's supposed to be like a
completely different character.
Completely. I mean, like, there's no emotion in his character per what he has to be in the character in Stranger. So there's nothing to actually, like, grasp upon on, like, how you are as a actor. I can get by it's not the, like, show being messy, but it's his portrayal being messy, and it's, like, messing up everything, which I'm sorry, I know a lot of people love him. I get it. I really liked his role in Stranger, but sometimes like you're not the right role for a thing. Doesn't mean you're a bad person or you can't be a good actor for other things too. But
the only moment that I really thought his character, like, shined, well, okay, kind of when he was having, you know, moments where he was worried about his brother, you know, like, they're pretty good. But when he turned on his charisma a little bit for, like, the little presentation thing, you know, like Steve Jobs-esque, like, you could see how his presentation skills, like his character's presentation skills, you could tell were maybe more charisma than his buddy who, you know, the vice president or whoever he is. That, because there was confidence there. Like, it was the first time I felt like his character had, like, this more of a charisma confidence thing. And then like the confidence never came back after that, really. And yeah, he was scared and being shot at and whatever, but like when he's making these calculations, being a smart character, like, yeah, you got to sell it. Like you have to sell that you know what you're talking about and that you're confident in your answer and that you're going to do it. Not.
And I would even say in the beginning, like the very beginning where you're introduced to him, where he's like, you know, filming the guy that's being a jerk to the stewardess during the plane scene. Like, I wonder if that's actually what his character is supposed to be, or like where he's most comfortable, which is essentially just the rich kid who has all this money and got it handed to him, which is what he was first presented to you in this story, was just a rich guy who doesn't have to go to his meetings, doesn't have to do anything, can jet set and do whatever, and is like lounging around. And then there was like the little momentary break when you saw him see his brother, and then you realize it's not there, and you're like, oh, that's interesting and that's cool.
Yeah.
But as soon as he got into any sort of equations or decided to be anything like that, I was like, that's not what you're presenting to be in your acting.
I feel like they really did want to do like a Tony Stark character, but it's just not working out quite the way that they expected it to, or were trying to get it to do. But I can like see what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like,
now Park Shin-hye's character, I dig it.
She's killing it.
It's so much fun. Like, she's just like running around and like flipping people and kicking people and then flipping them off, and then you're like, I'm like, it's fun, like, and it also like is perfect for her age, like not like her as like her not being mature, but it just seems like that age person would be doing that sort of thing, and that kind of like, you know, joking around and stuff, and that was fun, and I kind of like enjoyed her with the kid from the restaurant.
I liked his role.
Yeah, like I'd like to know what's happening to him. You know, like where he's at. Like, is he surviving? Is he being caught and murdered? Like, I don't know. And I'd like to know.
This was another like, this is a plot issue that I had with it, where I was like, one was, why would they ever let him go from the bureau? That doesn't make any sense. He should be getting busted out. That would make sense for what this bureau is being set up to do. And the second is, why would she leave this dude? Like, she knows that the bureau's after them, and this guy has no survival skills whatsoever. Why would she leave him?
Yeah, especially when she knows what they will do, because, like, it's obvious they killed his, boss.
His boss, yeah.
Like,
so it's like, why would
she knows that they would do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't like really make sense.
Yeah, like it's like she perceives that if she's not with him, he'll be safer, but he's not going to be safer, because what is he going to do? He's immediately going to like try and go back to the apartment or something, and then he's going to be dead. Like, and like, that's nice, you gave him the lottery numbers, but like, if he's dead, he doesn't get to collect. So like,
But maybe the bureau people are dumb, since they can't look up.
That's true.
Listen, they keep finding her, so
yeah, they keep finding her, and they killed off the restaurant boss. Like, that's the thing. And again, I'm usually really not picky with sci-fi shows. I'm not a hard sell, you guys. I'm really not.
No, I'm too. Like, you don't have to be like perfect writing.
Even just the bureau, I'm like, I keep like trying to look away from the flaws of it. I'm like, okay, I'll accept this scene is kind of weird, and I'll move on. Next scene, you guys will be... So then they'll have a good scene of, like, we killed off the restaurant guy. I'm like, okay, you, like, did your job. Like, got it. Now I'm afraid of you again. Like, you guys have... You're now a threat. I see you as a viable threat. But then it's like, then the next time they show up, it's like, oh, we're going to take 15 minutes to bust down a door. And smoke, for some reason, just really freaks us out. And we only send in like 3 guys at a time.
And also, none of us can listen to fucking orders, because that dude said don't shoot like 20 times in that scene. There were bullets flying everywhere.
Well, that's like one of those things I didn't get in that scene when they go into the house and they're shooting all these. I'm like, this is a nice neighborhood. She had a nice house. This is not America. No offense to our American line, but like, it's Korea. People don't have guns. People would be calling the cops.
Yeah.
You don't hear gunfire go off like that in Canada and not call somebody because nobody has guns. Like, it made no sense. Every time they'd be, and then once in a while they'd be running, you know, through the streets and he'd be like, put your guns away, there's people watching. And you're like, yeah, but you were shooting. They heard it.
Like, yes, they're watching. They're also probably not all of them deaf, so.
Just a side note, and it doesn't actually it doesn't matter in this show because obviously it's from a country that doesn't have guns. But every time anyone has ever shot anything in this show, they've done it in a way that their wrists would have already been broken by the recoil.
Oh, for sure.
It's like time, like every
sure.
single time I'm like, please, just someone brace it, please. And then like all of a sudden it's like sideways and pointing down, and I'm like, the recoil is gonna snap your wrist. And okay. I mean, I get it, but I also love like attention to detail that way. That like it would have been nice if like they could have just done something a little
like
bit.
they could have just sent them to a weekend of like learning how to shoot a gun.
Yeah, just literally like you don't even have to go very far. It's just like a little bit like,
well, and
you don't have to be perfect. I'm not like looking for like a level like Criminal Minds or NCIS does, where they actually bring in like bureau people and actually set up way people will go into a like house as like actually how they would do it in real life.
Yeah.
I'm not wanting that. I understand that. It's just very funny when they're like just freewheeling with that like wrist and that gun, and I'm like, it pulls me out. It shouldn't, but it's here, and I'm.
Well, it's also something that gets me is always, so there was a moment when they were going to like, I think it was when she was with the restaurant kid and they're trying to bust into his apartment, and they were like, put your silencers on. For a lot of shows in general, even American shows, silencers are not what you think they are.
They
like
don't silence things.
Yeah,
they don't silence anything.
Quieter, but it is still extremely loud.
Yeah.
It's still extremely loud.
And it's not something you would just like out in the field be like, oh, gotta put on the silencer now.
Right. So just like Jesse was saying, with the bureau guys, I really try to not be picky, but every time they're trying to storm somewhere, you know, I don't have any huge training in any of that, but I'm just like, none of this makes sense. You guys suck at getting into a building. Like, you suck at it.
I love her character, and I love that she's so good at fighting and so good at everything, but the fact that she has multiple times taken out like 30 guys by herself, either it's not believable or they're not very good bad guys. Like, this is supposed to be an elite team, and every time she wins, every time, and you're like, no, nobody can do that if they're not like a mutant, like if they're not a superhero, because you can't, a single person against 15, like, no.
I'm telling you, ladies, if she turns out to be an android, we're all gonna be eating her.
Well, that's fine.
True.
We will offer a formal apology on this podcast.
I mean, it's fun to watch. I'm not mad about watching it, but it's like every episode she takes on 15 and wins, and you're
I just want, like, you know, her to be like, even if it's just like her flying into a coffee table and the coffee table crushing down, and so she has to like stop for a little bit and then she gets up. I just need something like to make me actually believe that the like pathway is that these guys are actually like really souped up, because it kind of almost like it's so like blurred that like you could just assume that literally they're actually not that good, and that's an actual thing that's like written into the show that they're not that good.
Like that's what I keep wondering, like, is there some physical or mental limitation with like future people because of those gases or exposure or
the process
whatever,
of
they're deteriorating every like day that they're on Earth or like something.
Yeah, because like there's also all those weird things where like she'll like glitch out like she's actually a hologram, and that's not that. I'm like, okay, like
at that point I was like, oh, maybe I'm watching The Matrix. Like, is this okay? All right.
Who knows?
I don't know, but okay.
I feel like more watching is necessary to discover the truths of
We haven't talked about the best part of the show.
Oh,
Is
yes.
it my favorite? My favorite thing as a prop
Yes,
person?
Jesse's favorite.
I think you mean
shine.
the real star of the show.
Yes, absolutely.
A black pelican suitcase.
It's just, no, in general, any luggage whatsoever is the star of the show. Like, to the point, it's like the first thing you see, because all the people that she's with in that, like, room before she goes, they're taking their luggage off of the, like, conveyor belt thing that's kind of like almost like what you do for when you're passing through security checks at the airport. I mean, from that moment, I was like, luggage. And it just kept happening, and I kept screenshotting it. So, FYI, wineandkdrama.com, at this point, there will be a post about the luggage in the show, because it's so good. They use it so much. Just keep on. It's just there.
What's weird to me is that, like, it's a whole thing. Like, you can only take, so many kilograms, and you can only take this luggage, and the suitcase comes back with them. But, like, so why do they all come back in their underwear? Why can't they wear clothes? Like, I don't understand why you can't come back wearing. Maybe that's part of the weird digital transfer. Like, that one guy didn't have his arm at first, and then his arm grew afterwards. But, like, maybe if they come back in their clothes, they might, like, meld with their clothes in, like, a fly situation or something. But, like,
listen, I feel like.
But then why aren't you worried that, like, you do that with your suitcase? Like, when you come with a suitcase across your belly or something. Like,
I feel like this is sort of like, if this was an American show, they would have been nude. You know what I mean? But since this is a Korean show, they're like, okay, we can't do this. And, like, maybe they're gonna pull it's like, you get sent as one entity, and your luggage gets sent as a second entity at the same time, as, like, just right before or after you. Yeah, the underwear thing is funny. Because, like,
I bet, like, nobody packs clothes in their bag.
No,
like,
some of them do. Some of them do.
Yeah, okay. But, like, I mean, the stuff she had didn't seem like it was that expensive, like, or that heavy. So, like, I feel like she could have thrown a pair of leggings and a t-shirt in there somewhere. Like, I don't know.
But, like, also, not just luggage is important in this, like, show. Backpacks are really important, and they, like, subtly talk about it to the point that I think, like you notice the luggage, but you won't know that's backpacks, because, like, they make a point of, like, focusing, and I know it's, like, partly because of, like, figuring out it's the brother on the Emmy table, but, like, they make a point of showing him, like, his backpack flying off him when they're in the fight, like, outside of the thing, when he's talking about, like, trying to get his brother out of the conference or whatever. And that's a big thing. She steals the backpack from the kid, and it's a very big thing for him, and they make a point of it. And then when you see her in, like, the flashbacks, she has a backpack, and it's, like, full of stuff on them. So it's like, backpacks are very important as well. Like, this, like, container thing. And that's also a thing I'm like, that's gotta be something for this show. But we haven't really dived into that.
No. And there's also, like, the scene where they're, like, escaping from the broker, and she, like, makes a point of grabbing that backpack, and he's like, what are you doing? Like, just run. And she's like, nah, I need the backpack. Need to bring the backpack.
And she does it during the entire fight scene at the crane yard. She, like, at one point you see her go back for her luggage and grab it with her, and she's always, like, grabbing. Immediately when she, like, wakes up, she wants her luggage, you know.
That's one of the things that maybe doesn't make a lot of sense either. They're all told, run. As soon as you wake up, run, right? So why are they all taking, like, dragging luggage? Why don't they all have backpacks? Why isn't it a rucksack going through with them so they can grab it and run? Like
they're going on, like, a, trip in the mountains. That's the kind of thing you need.
Or, like, okay, you show up with your huge thing, open the sucker, get the 2 small things you really need, and run like heck and get away from whatever you need to get away from.
I guess maybe if you come with, like gear, you would have to have something solid case. If it falls, like, it takes damage, then maybe that's the reason. It's for damage control.
I feel like there's, like, I mean, especially you're talking the future or whatever, like, there are, like, hard shell backpack things and stuff. Like, I feel like it just feels weird. Like, don't forget to run as soon as you can, but we're going to drop you in the middle of rough terrain with a backpack, like with a luggage that is meant for an airport. Like,
maybe it's like a metaphorical running. Like, you need to, run away from the control bureau, but it's not like physically running. It's like more of a hiding and escaping sort of metaphor.
Maybe it's like don't just linger where you were.
I still feel like that would be easier with a backpack, though.
Yeah, it still would. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk for a second. I would like to hear thoughts and theories about the brother.
Okay.
So, like, the brother being supposedly the body that hits the airplane.
Yeah. Like,
okay,
I feel like what they're trying to tell us is that what he thought, like, the dead body wasn't really the dead body, because, like, they seem to be telling us that the brother's still alive now. So then he can come back from the future, but, like, I don't know. Like,
so at one point she mentions that they're copies. So, which means that perhaps they still exist in the future or their own reality, whatever it is. So maybe the dead body that he saw in the morgue was future brother, and so current brother is still alive and is getting sent back multiple times because he keeps fucking up doing what he is sent back to do.
Like hitting an airplane.
Yeah.
I really thought that the pilot of the airplane was like shot or something, right? Like,
me too.
That's initially what I thought.
Yeah,
and then we see that
was that
right, and the way he reacted and all that stuff. But then it was like, no, it was a body. It's like, okay, that's really weird and creepy.
Yeah. And it kind of like was interesting, like, because it could have just been his suitcase too. Like, that could have been.
Yeah, I think it was like the suitcase hit and then the body hit afterwards.
Yeah, but it was like it couldn't just like be the suitcase and then like if it played off like debris in the air or something, because they labeled it as a bird, which I know that birds can do serious damage, but I think like at that point like it'd be a little bit too much. So you would think that they would like cover it up a little bit more, but also. During that scene, they had all the markers for the investigation of the plane crash all surrounding this silver suitcase lying perfectly in the field, and nobody that put down all those like flag markers picked it up. They would just like stood there. So I don't know, like maybe can you not see it? Like if it the person comes in.
He didn't put down the markers?
I thought he did. He put all the flags down. Yeah,
I thought he put all the flags down.
He was doing like the triangulating to figure out where it was.
I thought it was because it was literally off of it's because they're the markers that you would put off on like as an accident.
No, I think it was.
I thought he did it himself.
Okay,
figuring it out.
So that makes sense that nobody found it. That even though they were marking the entire
that would have been a
it was him marking it, so he did then find it, which
makes sense.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, okay.
There are parts of that I really liked, like the broker then calling and being all threatening. Like, there are aspects of it's like, okay, this is good storytelling. There are aspects of good storytelling throughout some of it. But, I mean, for me, I'm going to keep watching it because I want to know what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
Curiosity has me.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. I, think I really hate it, but, I'm also, intrigued enough that I
know, right?
Well, somebody on the timeline said they're interested in the story, but they don't want to watch the drama. They'd rather read it. They're hoping somebody recaps it so they can just know what happens, but not actually have to watch the drama. They said they don't have the energy for it, and I kind of get that. It's kind of a lot.
I think Drama Milk is recapping it.
Okay.
I feel like
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
I don't really enjoy recaps, so I will be continuing my watch of this show.
Because I will too.
I do like a good car chase, and I like ridiculous things quite a bit, and this is prime ridiculous shit.
I do know I'm going to have to be in a different mood to watch it than I originally thought I was going to have to be. So, originally it was get my serious sci-fi fix is what I thought. That's what I would have thought I would go to the show
Yeah.
for. But now it's like, oh, I have to have enough patience, you know, have enough sleep on board, or you know, not a short temper in order to deal with, oh, you know, the Control Bureau is stormtroopering again. Okay, got it.
I thought it was going to be something that I was going to have to really like sit and focus for, but I found I enjoyed it much more when I was like doing the ironing and watching at the same time. Like I needed something else to focus on at the same time. So
I think the problem is that I have like a feeling that this might be a really great show to not watch week by week. I think it would be good, putting it together. However, already per what the timeline is doing, I would have to mute way too many tags. So I don't think I have it in me to sit there for 5 minutes muting tags.
So for me, I very specifically, prior to watching it, I tried to not like watch trailers and stuff. Because I was extremely excited for it, but I really was trying to temper my expectations, because you know, you try to not go in guns blazing, trying to make it something it's not.
Yeah.
So again, I tried to go in kind of empty of those things, but I will say it is not what I expected. But it is a story. It is a show.
Yeah.
It is a show.
It is happening.
It is a sci-fi show that exists on Netflix.
I watched the trailers and they didn't. It's pretty similar to what I kind of like. The feel is similar to what I expected, but I very much thought, and he actually says this, I think, at one point in episode 4, he's like, maybe you're my daughter, come back to save me or something. And I was like, I literally thought that's what the show was going to be. Like, not that she's young enough to be his daughter, but that, you know, if she's from the future, I thought that's what, and then it was like wedding dresses. And I was like, oh, okay. I got to rewind that. I got to fix that in my brain for that to work. So, okay. Wedding dresses. Got it.
Hopefully people aren't going to be...
I legitimately was hoping for like not having a romance line.
It was too.
Based on the descriptions of the show, just because they were making her out to be, you know, super soldier. You know, like it sounded like I just don't really need the romance, or if it's there, you know, light, like barely,
I thought it was kind of more of like a, you know, partners in crime type thing, where they kind of are put together because of circumstances too.
I kind of felt like she had more chemistry with the kid from the Chinese shop. So I was like, oh, I wish there was a little more spark here.
I don't mind either way.
So
you know, I'm the easy to please member of this podcast. So I'm like, all right, okay, sure, they're gonna get married, whatever. Like, okay, you do you, boo boo. Like,
well, I was just saying what my expectations were versus what so far is showing up. So. It's a show. How many episodes is it? What
16 is what MDL says, I think.
There's something coming out that's 20. What's on right now that's 20?
Sorry.
Is it Luca? Is Luca 20?
No, Luca's 12.
You know what is weird is Luca's the way 12. That I will watch a like 25, 40 episode C drama, but like I hear 20 episode K drama and I just like shut down. I'm like, oh, 20? Because they rarely need to be 20 episodes long.
Vincenzo is going to be 20 episodes.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
I knew it was like something.
That's long. That's long
Mouse
for
is
that.
22.
Oh wow.
I'm excited for Mouse. Serial killers.
Serial killers. Given all of the opinions, you can love Sisyphus as much as you please.
Yeah, like I'm enjoying it. Like even though it's kind of dumb.
Definitely by 3 and 4, I was enjoying it a lot more.
Yeah,
I really don't think you can make a decision on whether you're gonna like it or not per just listening to this episode of us talking to it. I think you need to actually like watch it,
experience it for yourself,
because it's something. It's
one
something.
thing I will say. I found the pacing of the individual episodes not bad, in that every episode I would go, wow, this episode is really long. Is it ever going to end? And then I'd check and I'd be 5 minutes from the end. And I'd be like, oh, okay, like that's why it feels like it's long, because I'm at the end of the episode. Perfect. And it happened to me every single episode. So that was nice. Like, pacing wise, I guess that's a plus. So
if you really want to give it a shot, I would probably encourage at least go to episode 3.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
To make your call.
Yeah, because I feel like the first, like with 3 episodes, it really encompasses the various tones that this show is taking so far.
Yeah.
Well,
like, it gives you the whole gamut
compared to 3 and 4 is just kind of actually pretty drastic.
Yeah, it's a very drastically different.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it always is. The pairs are different.
Yeah, but that'd be awesome, actually. What if the next 2 episodes are like totally different?
What if we are being taken for a ride with this show?
We don't even know it.
Like, we don't know. Like, this show could secretly be like a genius show, and we don't know it yet.
There's a lot of
I would love it.
And if they pull it all together in a complete way, it just
grand move, yeah.
Knowing the way that K-dramas, even ones that seem to have it solidly laid out for them, will completely tank the ending for no apparent reason. I'm very, very nervous about how this one's going to end up, because it feels like there are a lot of balls being juggled right now. I don't see how they catch them all.
If they manage to pull this off, it's going to be the greatest game of 5-dimensional chess I've ever seen in my life. And I'm actually intrigued to see either A, if they do it, or B, how bad it gets. Like, both of those outcomes is enjoyable to me. Like, either one of those. If it just becomes boring middle of the road, I will be very disappointed. But I don't see that happening with what they've set out so far. I'm going to be entertained either way. You know what I mean? Like, I'll either be entertained because I'm like,
it just kind of makes you wonder if it's going to become a show that's like, I wonder if I should just have alcohol on board to watch this show and make it like.
It actually might be a really great be
a luggage drinking game.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do that. That's how I'm gonna watch this.
That'll be so much fun.
This is it. That you made it. You made it like a show for
me. In the luggage in a K-drama.
Yeah,
we should make like a luggage bingo card where it's like,
there's the
backpack,
sniper ace. There's the backpack. I guess the letdown that I did have. So like, we recently had Space Sweepers, which to me, Space Sweepers is a great. You could throw that movie towards one of your buddies that's a Star Wars type sci-fi fan, and you could be like, give this a shot. And it would be a good introduction into like Korean entertainment right off the bat, a movie. So thus far, though, Sisyphus, I wouldn't throw the first 2 episodes of Sisyphus towards someone that has not been educated in like other shows.
When it first started up, that first scene, I thought, oh, this is gonna be our new circle, right? Like, this is gonna be something that like lives up to that, and then not so much. So like,
high hopes.
Yeah.
But
so
I am digging Park Shin-hye's character. Like, she's
really
what's keeping me.
She's killing it.
She's the one that actually has me invested. Like that, and I kind of do wonder what happened to the brother a little bit. But like,
you're like, okay, like, I am a little. I am
the bodyguard.
The
They came from the Chinese restaurant. But like,
we want to know what.
I hope they all show up later.
And maybe even the psychologist chick. She was good.
She interesting. There's like a little bit, so she's dating the best friend, but she has that picture of her with the other guy.
I honestly thought maybe she was like a plant from the bureau, or like she's somebody from the future who's come back, because like there's something that doesn't seem quite right about her.
I thought so too, but like I think she's just the character to throw you off. Because she was genuinely concerned when he was up in the front of the meeting and he started to see his brother. She was like yelling at his partner guy to go up there and help, and when he was kind of stalling, she was like, no, you need to go up there now.
Yeah, he is.
So
he is having
I was
psychotic break.
oh, this might be something a
I
little bit
definitely
different.
think that, like, whatever the director or CEO guy, like the old man who works in the company,
He's shifty.
he's shifty. He's either with the Bureau, or he's from the future, or he's the one who's going to start the war. I don't know, but there's something not right with that
And
man.
we don't know what Sigma is yet, other than a card. So he could be the head of Sigma for all we know.
True. We just don't know.
Listen, we don't know. The mysteries they're intriguing enough to keep you going, because you're like, okay, I see where this show is kind of like.
You're like,
Right?
but just enough. You're like,
they're titillating us. They're
but
I shake my head so many times at the show. Like, I'm like, no, don't do that.
I do definitely see, like I mentioned before, that like with the guns and stuff, it does definitely feel more North American in a sense. And so, like, you see sort of that Netflix influence, I think, that like just so many of these things, you're like, this just doesn't quite fly in Korea. But then, like, they have some of the things like the CCTV using that to find people and stuff, and you're like, yeah, okay, cool, we're back in Korea again. Excellent.
Well, this should be known. This is definitely, like, Netflix has the international rights to it. It's not like a produced.
It's a JTBC
Netflix.
show. It's a JTBC show.
It doesn't feel JTBC at all. Like,
No, it really doesn't feel JTBC.
I mean, to be fair, it did take a while for Netflix to actually officially say that they were gonna produce it. You know how, like, they do not produce it, have it for February. You know how they do, like, what's coming for the month. And they have, like, if you follow their, like, YouTube channel, they actually have, like, a video that does it. And it had, I don't remember, what's the, like, the slice of life rom-com that's, like, currently out now that's on Netflix. I don't remember. Dear M, maybe? Is that it?
Something like that.
Or,
Dear M got postponed.
Okay, it's not Dear M, it's something else.
There's,
like,
Hello
maybe,
Me.
Maybe it's Hello Me.
Right.
The M's.
Maybe.
That was in that original, and then also, like, the movies that came out were in that, like, original thing, and it literally took to, like, basically, like, right before both this one and Vincenzo was going to air for them to officially have a trailer out for it. So that was a little weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could be anything. It could just, they
Who
didn't.
knows?
Strange.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Like,
there was
with
delays
everything
on
else
production.
here, something weird is going on.
Anyway,
story of this drama's
show.
life. Something's weird.
Try
Sisyphus.
Try
You might like
Sisyphus for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a lot of different stuff going on. Maybe you'll like some of it.
Maybe you'll love it.
I'm enjoying quite a bit of it. So as long as they stay out of the boardroom, I'm pretty good with this one.
You fake K-drama fan. If you can't love me at my boardroom, you don't deserve me at my back hug. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Actually, there should be like a shorthand, like, sticker or tag or something for all of the K-dramas that have, like, whatever percentage of corporate crap in it. Like,
you can just make it up. It's like, this one had, like, about, like, 36% corporate espionage, but, like, you know, like 50, you know, action. So kind of made out. And,
it'd be shit down, you know?
and
It's
this
like
one had
surprise
about 2%
serial killer.
OCN potential, but it wasn't OCN.
Yeah. So, like, surprise serial killer tags and surprise boardroom tags. Like, it's a like, you didn't think it was gonna be, but it is. Like,
I'm never surprised by the boardroom in a K-drama. I'm like, here we go. There's always something.
I mean,
okay, so maybe we flip it, and it's like the like how many times you thought the drama was gonna have a boardroom, and it didn't,
and it didn't.
That's the percentage.
Oh.
yeah,
that would be.
And to be surprised, we'll see. Well, okay, like, I'm gonna be honest, if I was watching a Saeguk and suddenly there was corporate intrigue, I'd be very surprised. However,
No, but you get the political intrigue with
That's
those
true.
ones. So, like, it's kind of
same,
but different.
Same. Exactly.
that was one of the moments that made me laugh in this show. I think it was episode 4, and they translated it as "we're even now" or whatever. But what she said was same. Like, I was like,
such a Thai expression. Anyway, thank you for listening to another episode of Certified Noodles, where we talked about Sisyphus the Myth. I'm telling you, they're just killing me with that. They put 2 impossible words to say next to each other. Cruel. But you
nailed it that time, so good job.
I respect it. I respect the hustle. Anyway, thank you for listening to us. We appreciate all our listeners. You can find us wherever podcasts are found, but mostly go to certifiednoonas.com, where the episodes will have all the links to everything we talk about and time codes about what we're talking at that time. If you want to become an official sponsor of this podcast, you can go to ko-fi.com/certifiednoonas to become an official member of the Certified Found family. We have a lot of fun with our, peeps who, help support this podcast, keep the lights on, pay all the bills, that sort of thing. So we love all of our Certified Found family over there on Coffee. Anyway, we hope you have a fantastic week. You're still staying safe and, just taking care of yourself. And we hope you keep enjoying watching and listening to Asian entertainment. Anyway, have a fantastic week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.